Thanks for being here today. My name's Jason Hardy. I'm with Hitachi Vantara. We're a technology provider, CTO for artificial intelligence. I have the great honor of introducing to you Alex.
Hi everybody, nice to meet you. My name's Alex Luthwaite. I work for the Sphere project across the street. I hope you guys are all aware of what that is and at least seen some of it. I'm responsible for the show technology elements that go in that venue. So everything between lights and audio systems and sound systems and more importantly, video streaming. So you guys are all on the same page and seen a little bit about it. We're gonna play you a little video, get some excitement in the room. There's an awful lot packed into 45 seconds of video with that. A lot of technology firsts. But to talk to you a little bit about it, why did we want to do this? Really, our chairman had the idea to create something that was truly immersive and wanted to do something that was really different in the entertainment industry. So what does immersion mean to you? Typically, it ticks all the 5 senses. What technology is available on the market now to do that? We didn't think there was anything. You go down the headset route, there's lovely headsets on the market, but they have limiting factors. The peripheral's not good enough. What about spatialized audio? Normally you have to put headsets on to understand that. What other things you have? You know, you have scent, and you have haptics, and you have vibrations, and all these other elements, and they have to all be all-encompassing. So we decided to embark on this ourselves. We wanted to make a screen that was had your peripheral vision in. We wanted to have a joint experience, and I think that's one of the keys to this whole thing of where can you go with your friends and family and witness this at the same time? We wanted to have, haptics, we wanted to have all the sound that was right, we wanted to have scent and cool and heat, and really have all of those things be really cohesive in the right environment to be able to take you somewhere different. And I think we've achieved something with that. Of course, in terms of technology, which is what we're really here to talk about today, there are an awful lot of firsts. So this is a 160,000 square foot screen. It is by far the largest and highest resolution screen in the world at the moment. It is a 16K by 16K screen. And it defies everything we've done. Every time we wanted to, building the screen is one end of it, but how do we create that content and put it on the other end? We had to break everything and start again. And so we worked with partners like Jason to come and figure those things out with us. Talking about the venue specifically, it breaks up into 25 4K rasters. So we have 25 media servers that split up that image and have to be played back in synchronous manner. To give you a sense of scale, the movie in there that plays in there in a moment, the Postcards from Earth movie, is about 750 terabytes of data. So how do you get that data onto all these different servers? How do you move that around your building? How do you get that out of post-production? I could speak for hours on the post-production side too, but how do we get that out of post-production and into a venue? And this is where Jason and his team really come on board.
Yeah, I mean, we worked on it for a number of years. Like you said, we had to tear down basically every idea we had and start from scratch on this.
Very much. Just to put some other things in perspective, we don't compress the video at all. We actually have some partners with us sat in the room today who get a little check, our 7 Sense partners out of the UK. They helped us figure out how to do this at 12-bit, uncompressed, 60 frames a second. So this is really a new medium in terms of video quality and delivery that far exceeds anything else. So of course, not compressing it and having very high quality means extremely large data files. So I'd say the movie was about 750 terabytes. The original content media, when we go and film these things, is way into the petabytes. So on-premise storage, cloud storage, all these things are extremely difficult. Yeah. Let's focus on how we play it back.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the crux that you really helped to solve.
Yeah.
Like I said, 25 active 4K rasters synchronized at the same time. We worked out that even, if we wanted to chop this up and make it into a process and put it onto our servers was going to be extremely time consuming. So we decided to stream the media. And I think that's the difference between most people and our venue is we stream this media off of a giant NAS drive.
Yeah.
And you can talk far more eloquently than I can about that.
Yeah, so from the NAS perspective, not just any NAS could handle this. Obviously, it's a tremendous amount of data. We're pushing over 400 gigabytes a second with sub 5 milliseconds of latency on every communication that takes place. So the 7 Sense guys, again, huge shout out to them and what their software was able to do here was they're basically like pulling this data out and subscribing this over Windows. So it's SMB, it's traditional protocols. The thing about those protocols is they don't just do that by default. It takes a tremendous amount of engineering. And so the 3 years that we worked with together to actually get to that point was around how do we actually drive that much data through a platform and try to keep it as condensed a platform as possible. And that's where we did a lot of R&D efforts together even in Burbank at the studio is really starting to push through like, okay, let's kind of, again, design this from the ground up, start over, knowing, okay, we have a Windows requirement in this, but what does it actually mean? So it's taking all of this data now, consolidating it into one single place, and then ensuring that we are delivering it under the latency required, and we had about a 12 millisecond threshold. And then improving on that constantly so that if there's a blip or if something happens, like can we accommodate for it so you're not seeing this massive like shimmy going on screen. And so from our perspective as massively parallelized environment, we have a product called Hitachi Content Software for File. It's effectively our parallel file system. It's the same thing that drives AI workloads. It's the same thing that we use to train autonomous vehicles. Well, it's also really well equipped to stream a lot of data really quickly. So now it's like, how do we get Windows to be able to accommodate and to consume that data? And that's where we spent most of our time is in building out the integrations so that Windows can actually stream this data. And the result, I think, speaks for itself. So
Thank you. Yeah.
It's still probably the coolest and will be for a very long time project I've ever worked on. So and it was great working with these guys because it was really a collaboration. Everything that we did was, all right, that's not working, let's try something different. Or, hey, look, we've made some progress here, how do we move into there? And then obviously repeating that over and over again. And now we're at, 208 days, and it's been amazing. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
Did we hit 1,000 shows yet? I don't know, making things up. It's got to be close, right? 280 days at 3 shows a day. Yeah. It's got to be close.
Yep.
Somebody ops can tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what else do we talk about? Obviously, this is our proprietary system, which is lovely, and we're different from a lot of streaming vendors in that we own the camera, we own the post-production pipeline, we own the delivery, and we own the venue. Which means we can change the deliverables on this. We can push the formats. We can raise the bar higher and expect that content to be at top notch. It was very difficult to do that, though, of course. Every time, say, we mentioned some other things we've broken, let alone playback servers, but we go further up the stream, color processing, just even simple things like editing. How do we ingest these drives? We started off with, about 5 years ago, we started off making camera arrays. So there was no single camera on the market that would film with the resolutions required. So we started putting cameras together into clusters. This had its own set of hurdles, like how do we put that together in post-production and stitch those images together to also make a concave image. Of course, it was very labor intensive. There was lots of errors with it. You got parallax issues, so when the cameras place it different, if they see different sides of the same object, which was very difficult to get around. And with about 2 years out, we decided to go and make our own camera. And this is it's our Big Sky camera. You can read a lot about it online. But essentially, it's an 18K single sensor. It's about 80 millimeters in the back of it. Very large lensing. Outputs insane amount of data as well. It was our storage mags that we put in the back of these cameras are an awful lot of money, but they're solid state drives. They're the fastest, largest drive you can buy on the market at the moment. It gets us about 17 minutes worth of content. So we're filming fish on Thursday. We have 4 cameras that are going in there. It's a 4-hour show with 4 cameras with 17 minutes of mag, expecting to deliver about 5.5 petabytes of raw data off the back of that shoot. So mega data, mega data.
And as a storage company, I appreciate that.
Thank you, yes. Yeah, the first thing we do is copy it. It's the other thing as well, so you don't lose any of that data. So the working files are things that go through the back of that, and the nuke processes, and eventually we have to carve this image back up into 25 different rasters to be able to deliver it to the venue. So yes, that whole process, like I said, was a tremendous amount of engineering and an effort from the whole team. And it was really a sort of labor of love for the certain people that were involved just to be able to deliver this thing. But so.
And that's the interior side.
That's just the interior. Yes.
We now have the exterior, so it's the single largest screen on the planet. Unpack that for a minute.
Comparatively, that's fairly easy.
Yeah.
Although it's very large, 580,000 square feet of LED product. There is 1.3 million pucks, what we call pucks on the outside. It's a 80 mil product that has 48 diodes in the middle of it, but it does only act as 1 pixel. So in terms of resolution, it's really between 2 and 4K based on the spherical nature of it. But we did that intentionally. So the idea is that we have 50% sort of artwork, 50% advertising and commercial real estate on the outside of the building. And we wanted to be able to turn that over quickly, work with a lot of different partners, advertising agencies. And so we didn't really want to break everything with those guys. It would just be prohibitive to turn over that data and that content generation. So the fact that it can be fast, it can be cloud-based, we can email those files around from each other. You can iterate that process very quickly. But the fun part, obviously, is the spherical nature of it. Mm-hmm. How do you create content that is in 3D space now? Where are you looking at it from? There's 10,000 hotels that look at the outside of this building. So if you're making a single focal point, like the emoji face that we do often, where is it looking? Like, how does it have it move around? For what event does it do that? You can see through the building. We can cloak the building. You can really go nuts with that. And I think people have just started to scratch the surface with what content we can do with that.
Yeah, some really fun things. And no, the emoji guy does not know you're swinging a golf club at
it's just
Topgolf.
A little smoke and mirrors and theatrics involved with that. But yeah, absolutely. Especially when the golf tournaments come through, we do play with that a little bit and have some fun with it. But
excellent.
Yeah, there is lots to be done with that. I say creative-wise, we've just started to scratch the surface, and I think we really want to work with people like yourselves who want to create something differently and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, it was a very long, very big project. Learnings from it, what a couple big takeaways that you got from this thing?
Try and avoid pandemics and
supply chain. Supply chain
was a real fight. Yeah, of course. Learnings. There's so many. I don't even know where to start. Honestly, keep things simple. I know we try to break things as much as we could, but the things we knew and trusted, we still know and trust and rely on. Surround yourself with the greatest team. The people that have been really successful with this have been the people that are passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it's all about the love of the artwork at the end of the day. Creating a movie on this scale was really difficult. We went to 27 different countries for the first movie, and it was, we could only do that with the right passionate people. So. God, I don't know. The 7th guy's in the room. We've had so many learnings. I don't know. Lots of technical challenges that we really enjoyed getting past.
Yeah.
The hurdles were most of the things we chose were right at the sort of pointy end of the stick in terms of technology. The whole building's IP based, for example. It was when we started this 4 years ago. IP video was sort of new to market. We didn't really know a standard yet. So we've really sort of taken that bull by the horns and driven that. And I think if you can time your project with that sort of technology, you get to really influence it and pull partners together. We worked closely with SMPTE. We worked closely with other just color vendors and groups, and we're like, right, we pull all you guys together. Right? You're all thinking about this thing. Can we collaborate and make a standard together? And those things really helped us. Great partners like yourselves, and just It's a great partners like Seventh. Just having those people willing to get on board and try out
Yeah.
was really why we were successful with it, I think.
Awesome. Great. Who here has actually been in the venue? Yeah. So it's worth the hype. Absolutely. Yeah.
Nods, smiles.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can't see anything, so yeah. Thumbs up. I saw the thumbs up. There we go.
Yeah, we do it for you lot, really. You know, the beauty of this building is we have set this sort of benchmark and have gone, right, now people come and be creative with us, please. Come and work with us. Come and do your events in there, host your shows, host your concerts. You know, we want to be able to work with people and create content in different ways and create different shows, and it's fabulous to sort of see that now. Having spent, I don't know, best part of 7 years trying to explain to people what we're doing, and people just, you know, they sort of think they get it, and then we take them to our studio in Burbank, which has a miniature version, and they sort of get it a bit more, and then when they walk in the door here, there's a penny drop moment, usually followed by some expletives, and you know, it's a real nice eye-opener to go, right, now people get it, now people understand, you know, the complexities of creating content in a spherical medium, because where do you look on this screen? You know, the screen is all around you, so you don't have to have a focal point in the middle anymore. How do you have a conversation like Jason and I are having without the camera editing between it? And you don't have to do that anymore. You can have two people on the same thing. But the flip of that is quite a boring static shot for so long. So you have to really sort of think about your content creation in a different way. Yeah. When we film with the camera, for example, we tilt the whole camera back almost sort of 50 degrees because you're filling all of this now. So where your focal point of your lens, which is typically the sharp point of your lens, is now down here. So you've got to have a really sharp, clean lens across your camera, you know, because you can't compromise the quality of the shot when your focal point is in the bottom third of the lens. So yeah, lots of very complicated pieces with that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So obviously, like, talk a little bit about Burbank. So you guys created a quarter scale size platform for this to kind of like playground it.
We did, yeah. Well, it started off, we built a 1/15th scale of it in the Wayback Machine.
The OG Dome.
OG Dome, yeah, it's a 4K sort of semi-transparent dome that we built just to understand what this does to people. So when you put somebody in the middle of the dome and you play a piece of content that's a roller coaster, do people throw up? Do they fall off their seats? Do they want to leave with the room? Do they hate or love it? And so we built that, and within about 10 minutes of owning that, we realized it was nowhere near big enough. We're like, oh, okay, now we've got to build a really big one, which was, until we built the Sphere, the biggest screen in the world. Yeah. So, you know, even the quarter scale version of it is enormous. So we built its full resolution, but the whole thing is shrunk down. So it's still a 16K by 16K screen. And we turned to our partners and went, hey, you know that project we're doing, you know, to build that building, can we do it a year faster in Burbank? Because we need to understand the human perspective of the content with this. Silly things like the horizon in your content. If you tilt the horizon down 2 degrees, everybody leans forward, right? You want to fall off the precipice. And we didn't know that until we started building this test facility and understanding what that does to humans. How fast can you pan a camera? How fast can you zoom in? What feels wrong? What feels right? The roller coaster was a fabulous piece of content. It was a real crowd divider, and the public will never see it because it's just so much. It's really, it's quite nauseating.
Yep.
But funny things like we found by adding sound to that roller coaster, it got better. So what does that make any sense? Is there some sort of inner ear thing that gives you balance? We still don't know, but it does. So there's an awful lot of learnings, and to say the Burbank facility is really the sort of sausage machine behind this. Mm-hmm. It's where a lot of the kind of pre-visualization and color, a lot of the hardware acceleration testing, you had to provide a NAS for that too.
Do a lot of testing out there,
software, our video providers, software, show control, theatrical lighting, all these things that take a new cinematic medium and make it more of an event-based experience. Mm-hmm. You know, all those extra things, the holoplot sound, which we haven't really talked about today, but there's 160,000 audio channels in there. How do you start the digital processing behind that? How do you start streaming that? The immersive nature of the sound in there. How do you take a band like Fish, who are traditional stereo line arrays in arena, and go, right, now spread apart all your stems and all your sort of back catalogue and make it spatial. And I think that's going to be something really special come Thursday, which I'm very excited to see. Yeah. So Burbank's a really integral part of this. There's probably 350 people there, roughly, that are everything from engineers, hardware engineers, through to creatives and say post-productions, colors, audio, all that kind of fun stuff. And, it's really very important to the success of Sphere.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great team out there. A lot of very smart people, very creative people.
Yeah.
So I guess we have a few minutes left. Do we want to open up for
Do you want to ask any questions?
Any questions?
I've blitzed through a lot. Yell at us, please.
Just a question. So Fish is known for Chris Kuroda's like lighting rigs and things like that. Could you, I don't know what you can say, but could you say anything about the process of working with their internal creative and how that played out? I'm very excited for Thursday.
Me too. Absolutely. So this is kind of the impetus behind the project, though, is we wanted to stop people doing the same shows they've always done. And so Chris actually got on board really quickly. You know, I can't tell you too much, but it's going to be really exciting. But yeah, that whole team were lovely to work with. They wanted to do something differently. Trey's a huge tech nerd guy, so he, of course, was super into it. Yeah, the people that are successful with this, I think, really embrace it and want to do something different and want to change it up. The challenging bit with Fish was how do we create all that content, because they're a jam band, right? So it changes each performance. Some songs can be 3 minutes, and then the next night the same song is 20 minutes, right? So how do you create content to that? That was one of the real challenges, and creating loop-based and trigger-based content that was seamless and could transition based on Chris's inputs were still are really challenging. You'll see on Thursday, but yeah, it's very difficult. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask a similar Fish question and get a little deep on what kind of technology are you working with? Is there a VJ technology? Is it Notch that you're allowing the improvisation to happen?
Lots of things, basically. There's because we broke it all is the sort of first answer. And then the VJ software doesn't really output enough resolution these days. But Notch we use, yes. We use a bunch of different filters. We use a lot of layers, so whether it's alpha layers and then pip windows and live camera inputs, because once you use one effect on one song, you've sort of used it. So you've got to have 20, 30 songs, however they're going to end up playing. So it's more about just layering up lots of different options. But also we wanted to make sure there's a cadence to the show. So you can't go out all guns blazing and expect to keep that pattern for the whole 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever they play. So you've got to be able to come up and down and go back to sort of Chris's roots of lots of nice just colored swathes and simple things so the audience almost gets a rest. It's one of the reasons our shows are the lengths they are, is because it's quite exhausting to be in there. It is a lot of sensory overload, and so we have to just be conscious of how much we give you, how much when, and in order to sustain the whole show, and especially for Fish because they tend to do quite long shows. So we've been very conscious with that too. Yes, sir.
So thank you. I've seen the show, which is amazing. Good. Following up on the content issue, clearly the technology is ahead of the content that's in there, and in order to maybe create more content, if you look historically, what happens, you put tools in the hands of third parties who can develop the content and feed it in. Not everybody can afford to build the studio that's in Burbank. Have you thought about what sort of tools and technology you might be able to push out into the world so that third parties could develop some of the content further?
Very much. Yeah, absolutely. What we're trying to do, though, is rather, we don't want to just go to market with these tools yet, because we want to keep that for our partners that we're working with. But what we tend to do is when a new artist or group come through, we have to give them this toolkit, because otherwise it actually just doesn't work. You can't use your traditional toolkits. And there's a learning curve that goes behind that too. At some point, I'm sure my chairman will decide to market those things, but at the moment we're sort of keeping it under close covers and sharing that really with our partners. But it's not so far out of the future, this stuff, really. It's put together very well, and it's more about a mentality than it is about the tools themselves. But like you said, yeah, we do have to partner with people, and I find that if creatives are given too broad a horizon, they're not really creative. You have to sort of stuff them in a corner and go, don't do that or that. And they go, oh, and they think about something else, and something beautiful comes out in the middle. And that's where we're having fun at the moment, really trying to say, please come to this venue. It's challenging and difficult, but here's the new tool set for it. So, yes?
You mentioned that you sort of had to redo the entire video production pipeline from the camera to the screens. When it comes to like lenses and like editing software and mixing software, did you have to develop those as well?
Yes, is the short answer. Yeah, we're still developing lenses. Yeah, we made 2 lenses for our first movie. They are the aperture on the first one's about this size, so it's I think it's 55 pounds the first lens. So it's a bit of a beast, but we had to because it's almost 180-degree field of view. It's very sharp edge to edge, which I talked about when we tilt the camera is necessary because your focal point can be all over the screen. Yes, and then software we didn't write ourselves, but we did go to partners and go, hey, we're trying to do things natively in a much higher resolution than typical. We wanted to be able to see, proxies and 4K renders of the 18K shot original, just so we can work with it. How do you know if you've got the shot or not? There's no 18K monitor that you can plug in and look at this. So yeah, just lots of processes like that we ended up using. We use goggles on set a lot, headset goggles on set a lot to make sure we've got the shot so we actually map it in real time so you can put yourself in the venue and look around to make sure the shot is in the right position and things like that. So yes, we had to change a lot of the processes, even just, hey, when you ingest that raw data, do you just go and stick it in QuickTime Player? You can't do that, right? You got to go and build the right tool set behind that and sort of change that process a little bit. But it was a fun challenge.
I think we have time for one more question. Please. Yeah.
What's the craziest use case you've done so far that you can share?
Craziest use case? We swung one of these brand new cameras when we only had 2 in the world off the bottom of a long line, off the bottom of a helicopter in the Italian Alps. That was quite good fun. The shot the creative wanted to get was, you'll see it in postcards, there's a church that's built into the side of a cliff. And the landing pad was about the size of this stage. So the guy had to swing in with a helicopter with a very long line and get the camera shot to almost stay on the stage. We were a bit nervous about that one. We took it into some sulfur fields. That was pretty gross. We didn't know, it was awful for people, so we didn't know what it was going to be like to cameras, salt mines, things like that. Pretty nasty experiences. Underwater made me nervous. Yeah. Brand new housing, it's so much data that the physical camera recorder sits separately to the camera, so it's tethered by a fiber optic line. So we had to make a very long fiber optic line and then keep the recorder on the boat, and then the camera was underwater. So those things don't, running cables through salt water and things like that. We were manufacturing the cameras while shooting the movie. So there was lots of things like, please don't break it. We used to take it on a plane next to us all the time, because one-to-one. Yeah, we were nervous about doing, sending it around the world. I say we took it to 27 different countries, so the thing got flown around the world a lot with people cuddling it and trying to protect it. So it was really, really fun. Lots of fun challenges, though. Awesome. Is it a quick one? Go for it. Go ahead.
Considering that all the content needs to be made specific to your venue, how much time in advance is required to start developing a project?
More, always. Yeah, it depends on the show, honestly, because not every show is shot. Obviously, there's a bunch that's CG and just made in other different formats or scaled up or stitched together from other existing content. So it sort of depends on the show. But yeah, the whole Postcards movie was done in about 18 months, which is rapid. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Alex, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
It's been great working with you guys and looking forward to what the future has to hold for us.
Looking forward to it. And if you haven't come to Sphere, please do.
Yes.
I think it's really a game changer in the content world. So thank you for having us.
All right. Have a great lunch.